You're listening to the Bleav in Giants podcast with two-time Super Bowl winner Carl Banks and the voice of the Giants, Bob Papa.
Welcome to another edition of Bleav in Giants, presented by FanDuel. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks. Our final preview of the 2025 season. Man, and what a year it's been, Carl. 3-13, Dallas Cowboys. I'll get it started with this because we're recording this at a different time than we normally do. It's Friday afternoon at this recording. So Cordell Flott is out. Javon Holland is out. Theo Johnson is out. Evan Neal, we know, is out. Wan'Dale Robinson is out. He didn't practice this week due to rib injury. And Rakeem Nunez-Roches is out. There's been a little flu bug that swept through the locker room. I was here the last 2 days of practice on Wednesday and Thursday, and there was a bunch of guys like Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Theo Johnson that did not practice because of illness, and it'll be remain to be seen. Hopefully Abdul Carter plays. I want to see him finish off the season strong. It's been strong for him, but hopefully he can suit it up and play on Sunday against the Cowboys.
Yeah, this is, the coach said that everybody that can play is going to play, and he's going to treat it like the game it's supposed to be treated. It's not going to be part-time players, full-time players. They're just going to go out there and play to win the football game. And you're playing a division opponent. The Cowboys are playing for something. They're not in the playoffs, but they're playing to be a 500 team. So they're going to give their best effort. They're going to play with a sense of pride. And you need to go out and try to beat them. And that's the bottom line. You had that game and you blew it the first time. This is a different football team that they're facing defensively. They've made some adjustments. Quinnen Williams is the catalyst to that defensive front now. He's making a lot of things work up front. Their linebackers look better as a result of the way Quinnen Williams is playing. And so they've got it going on right now.
Yeah, they got rid of Trayvon Diggs earlier this week. It's been a weird existence with him. He signed with the Packers, actually, I think yesterday. So, Carl, I was at practice for the 90-minute practice all day Wednesday, and then yesterday on New Year's Eve, I was there for the full 2-hour practice. And the one thing I will say for a team that's 2-13, there was a good intensity, and it was an enthusiastic practices the last couple of days. I don't know what that means. They had a little competition, 1v1 with different position groups, which was fun. Everybody was hooting and hollering. But I thought the energy level of practice was fantastic. And it certainly looks like there's going to be some guys with the injuries that I just mentioned, with players being out, that there's going to be some more practice squad elevations and maybe even a roster move here or there. Putting somebody on IR so they can bring somebody up. But guys look like they were eager to play this game this week on the practice field.
Well, that's the energy you want. You don't want a team that has basically quit before the last game. The energy shows that there's still a competitive nature to the players on that roster. And they want to go out and compete. And that's good. That's a good sign that they want to go out, they want to compete. They're not just lethargic and going through the motions. And, hopefully they'll give Giants fans, those that will be in attendance, a treat. Give them a victory.
Yeah, I mean, again, other podcasts can discuss, losing games and all that other stuff and draft position. Like I said, you and I, traveling with the team, calling these games for as long as we had. It was fun to watch them win last week, and it was fun to, watch them in the locker room and then on the team charter back home and all that other stuff. So good for them. Listen, milestones to be hit. One of the things that people don't realize is so many of these players have clauses in their contract for specific goals, whether it's snap percentages, catches, yards, touchdowns, whatever it is. And there's going to be a lot of guys out there gunning for some extra money as well.
Yeah, I mean, not every player has a big base salary. A lot of this stuff is performance and incentive based, and you see it around the league. But guys want to hit those milestones, just like with Wan'Dale Robinson. He was able to get 1,000 yards. I would have loved to see him play this game to see if he could get 100 receptions. He's 10 away from that, but he took some shots in that game, and I think he's got a rib issue. But this is what these guys go out there. They play. They get paid to play. They put incentives in their contracts so that they can hit some of these milestones, and that's all in the spirit of competition. It's mutually beneficial when they can play well and perform up to their ability. The team pays them, those extra bonuses, and I think that's part of being a professional.
Yeah, Jaxson Dart can join Cam Newton as the only rookie quarterbacks to ever have 10 or more touchdown passes and 10 or more rushing touchdowns in a season. If he can run for a touchdown in this game, he currently has 9. I know Tyrone Tracy wants to finish the year strong. But yeah, there's a lot on the line here for players. And, you're going against a Dallas team that is 7-8-1, and they sit atop the leaderboard in a lot of statistical categories on offense. But defensively on their back end, I mean, it's a big time issue for them. And that's really one of the reasons why they got into the playoff race with the wins against the Eagles and Kansas City on that Thanksgiving week, but it kind of fell apart for them. How did the Giants get to this secondary? Because you did mention with the addition of Quinnen Williams and with Kenny Clark up front, and with what, they have Overshawn back, who coming off a devastating injury last year. They got, Clowney can still get after the passer. How do the Giants get into the advantageous down and distance?
Well, it's advantageous to stay on schedule, Bob. It is. You can't abandon the run. There are different ways to get to the run. You may want to stretch them laterally before you go vertically, meaning it may be some catches out of the backfield, catches in the flat, screen passes. And then, but you have to have some type of run intentions to stay on schedule. And then you'll get your plays down the field. Theo Johnson is out, Daniel Bellinger is in, and who else will they have at tight end? Manhurts will be there.
Yeah, they had Zach Davidson up last week. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's one of these other guys I was watching in these bizarre numbers at practice the other day. So, it could be anybody.
Yeah, but they, the two guys that are very familiar with how things should work offensively out of their 12 personnel will be Manhurts and Belly. So there's going to be some opportunities, but they just got to get them blocked up early on and establish the line of scrimmage. And that can be, like I said, it could be swing passes, can be screen passes, but they're going to have to be some direct runs. And then if you can get them to commit to stopping the run, meaning a safety may have to get up a little bit, then you'll be able to get some things down the field. But, listen, with the exception of the Vikings game, they've had some pretty good game plans in terms of getting the ball down the field and finding openings. So we'll see. And, the players just have to execute on the other end of that. Now, on the other side of the football, it's interesting. Dak Prescott is lighting it up, probably playing some of his best football. But the one thing that really says to me that the Giants will have an opportunity is that they throw a lot of downfield, late developing plays, deep in cuts, sail routes. That it takes a while for these things to develop. So the Giants get a pass rush going. It'll be a great opportunity to derail this explosive offense, because the Giants can do some things up front. We're seeing that. Charlie Bullen is really creating some favorable matchups. Let's see if it happens against this Dallas offensive line. And, they like those downfield, like, Pickett's a good player. He's a great player, actually. We know what CeeDee Lamb is. They don't like throwing short passes, tight ends will factor in. That's going to be your intermediate pass game, but they love their chunk plays in Dallas, and they hit them with regularity.
Yeah, they've got 21 pass plays of over 30 yards this year, and I'm just adding this up. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pass plays of over 50 yards. I noticed when they were doing the scout team work with the starting defense, they were featuring Turpin a lot, and he's one of these guys that can hit you with explosive plays. You take a look at what he's done this season. He's got their longest touchdown catch, 86 yards. He could be a matchup issue for the Giants. Dak Prescott leads the league in completions. He leads the league in passing yards. He leads the league in 300-yard passing games. He's beaten the Giants 14 straight times. It's the second longest streak in the NFL. The record is held by Bob Greasy, who beat the Buffalo Bills 17 consecutive times. The most wins by a quarterback against the Giants, Roger Staubach. Prescott is second. Jim Hart for the St. Louis Cardinals was third, but it coincides with a really down era in Giants football. Staubach got the late 60s, 70s Giants, and Prescott since 2016.
Games in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, the Giants beat him twice his rookie season in those tight games, 2016, and they haven't beaten him since. So, yeah, he's been a problem for them. And listen, he wins division games, right? Since 1970, Mahomes has the best division record as a quarterback, and Prescott is right there one game behind him. So he loves playing against the NFC East, and he loves playing against the Giants.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, there are going to be opportunities for the Giants to get after it. If they can stop the run, get Turpin contained a bit, they'll have some opportunities to get after Dak Prescott and create some turnovers or some bad plays for them, because those balls that travel 30 yards, they are not caught at 5. I mean, he hits 25-yarders with regularity and with great accuracy. So there's going to be some late developing or slow developing offensive plays for Dallas. They've got to be able to impact those types of plays. The Giants do.
Carl, I know you were down at the Orange Bowl, and I know that as the Super Bowl is getting near and postseason, and then with the NHL and with the NCAA tournament, I mean, you're also thinking about your starter brand, which got me to thinking, like, social media presence, all these things are very important. Plus, you're always looking for people to kind of add to your business. Well, how do you find the best people for all the different roles on your team? It's easy. You go to ZipRecruiter. Right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. Hey, there are all kinds of new challenges. Everything. The world's evolving. We're in 2026. Everything's specialized. So you want to get qualified people, Carl, and when you're looking for people, the best way you could weed out those that are not effective for what you want to do, it's important because time is money for you, isn't it?
It really is. And having experts that know how to weed out those that are not qualified is very important. And you need qualified people to obviously execute your business at a high level. And this is kind of the season too with sports. We'll see some level of that across the league with, new hires and things of that nature. And even in college when they go recruit kids, right? And so you need qualified people that can identify qualified people, and ZipRecruiter takes the hassle out of that.
Yeah, they got matching technology. It works fast to find top talent, so you're not wasting time. You're not wasting money. They have an advanced resume database, which can instantly unlock top candidates that you can contact and get started on it right away and save yourself some time. So let ZipRecruiter help you find the best people for all of your roles. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Just go to this exclusive web address right now. ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/audio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/AUDIO. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Now, as far as like the hiring stuff, we have no idea what's going to happen as far as the head coaching search, the general manager, if he's going to be here or not. We'll get into that like when the season's over and we do our post-mortem.
Sure.
Who are you excited to see play on Sunday?
I'm excited to see Jaxson Dart, man. He just continues to grow, and I am really, really excited just to continue to watch his growth. Tyrone, Tracy, love watching him play. This offensive side of the ball is fun, but I'm a defensive guy, and I love what's happening with Abdul Carter. I love the momentum that Brian Burns has. And, Dexter has found the spark here lately under Charlie Bullen. So I'm excited for those players. But just from a team effort, I want to see if the special teams group can double down. If they can impact the game in a positive way like they did last week.
I'm actually interested. You mentioned special teams. You better call Saul. I'm actually interested in Ben Sauls here because so far, other than his very first kick, which was the opening kickoff in his first game that went out of bounds, he's been pretty solid. He hasn't tried any real long ones or anything, but you got to find a kicker, and you may wind up drafting one later in the draft. There's always veterans that go from team to team. But it'd be interesting to see what this kid can do because you and I talked about this in the sense that he did kick at the University of Pittsburgh. He did kick outside. He did kick on grass. And he had pretty good numbers while he was at Pittsburgh. So I'd be interested to see if this guy, especially with the weather being colder and everything, how he does on Sunday. So at least you might have a viable option going into next year of someone that you could say, hey, we saw him for 3 games.
Yeah, and it was in the latter part of the year where the weather was different. So this is definitely an active audition.
Yeah, so I'm kind of interested in that. I'd like to see Brian Burns get a couple more sacks. Strahan has the 3rd most sacks in a season. He had 18.5 in 03. Of course, your teammate Lawrence Taylor had 20.5 in 86, and Strahan 22.5 in 01. Will Myles Garrett break that record? We'll find out this weekend against Cincinnati. And, listen, we always talk about this, Carl. Get right. Dallas is 31st in the NFL in red zone defense. The Giants are 28th in red zone offense. How about this number? The Dallas Cowboys have had to defend 61 red zone trips.
Wow, that's a lot.
Teams have scored on 60 of the 61. 42 touchdowns, 8 field goals. They've only gotten 1 red zone stop the entire year.
Well, hopefully the Giants can get right.
All right, so, Carl, we always talk about get right games. The Giants are 28th in red zone offense, 48%. They're pretty good on third downs. The Cowboys are 30th in third down defense, but they're 31st in red zone defense. This is I don't think I've ever seen a number like this. In 61 red zone defenses, the Cowboys have yielded 60 scores, 42 touchdowns.
Out of 61?
Out of 61, they've yielded 60 scores out of 61 defenses in the red zone. Like, you better score touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, if you can get down there, you should be able to score. This could be your get right.
Yeah, don't let the Cowboys defense get right. I'm looking forward to seeing Marcus Bowe continue his growth. He's getting a great opportunity here to go against this Cowboys front, which is a good front. And I want to see Jaxson Dart finish the year on a positive note. I was looking at this. Giant quarterbacks as rookies are 1-7 all time against the Cowboys. Tommy DeVito, Daniel Jones, Kent Graham, Joe Pisarcik, and Phil Simms twice in their rookie year all lost to the Cowboys. They never beat them. The only rookie quarterback to beat the Cowboys was back in 2004, which ironically was the last game of the season when Eli Manning, on that last-second audible handoff to Tiki Barber, beat Dallas. So maybe we get a little Ole Miss karma with Jaxson Dart channeling his inner Eli Manning and ending the year with a win against the Cowboys.
It'll be good. It's I'm excited for them, but I expect them to go out and compete to win. And, this is a division foe, one that you haven't been able to beat in 14 games. So there's a lot to play for. There are players that are going to be on this team. The majority of these players are going to be back. And this is something they don't want hanging over their head another offseason. So they can go in and try to defeat the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants were 0-6 in the division last year. They're 1-4 right now with that win against Philadelphia. So maybe they can pick off a division win. Anything else about this week or about the team you want to address or get off your chest right now?
No, I think, listen, it's about focusing on the football at this point. It's been a lot of ancillary stuff that has littered my timeline that's just not worth talking about. It's about the football, and we know that this has not been acceptable. It's been exhausting for everybody, the fans. But we'll get into that, at the appropriate time. Right now, I'm more about the football.
Yeah, there's been a lot of infighting with the fan base too and stuff like that. And I think it's just all born out of frustration. I mean, look, you can't run away from this fact, Carl. Since the start of the 2017 season, Mike Kafka is now the 6th person to assume head coaching duties. You had Ben McAdoo, Steve Spagnuolo, interim, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, Brian Dable, and now Mike Kafka. And over that time frame, the Giants are 43-104-1, which is the worst record in the NFL over that period. So, the frustration level is legit, and I can understand it. But I would love to see positive, moving forward into next season or whatever, so that everybody can kind of galvanize behind the team, and you don't have people rooting for losses for better draft picks and all that other stuff, which the thing that's alarming is that they've had so many high draft picks and they're still where they are.
Right. Exactly. So that doesn't necessarily change your fortunes, having the high draft pick. But getting good players, I think they have started to get some good players on this roster. Obviously, there's still more room to improve, but when you can look at the quarterback position, Malik Neighbors' early returns pre-injury said that they got that one right. Theo Johnson's got to work, but he's a very promising tight end. Marcus Bowe, early return says they got that right. Derek Alexander, early return say they got that right. Obviously, Abdul Carter, you're seeing what he was drafted to be. Brian Burns is, a dynamic return on investment. So there's some players. Andrew Thomas, the healthy he's been, and probably could, if he needed to, go this week. Made a big difference in this offensive line. John Michael Schmitz, the one that everybody wrote off, didn't hear his name called a lot this year in terms of missed blocks, falling down, not being able to hold up. Did an incredible job this year. So I want to see those guys continue to grow as pros. And, because that's when you look, obviously, the Giants have got to add more depth. That's just the fact, right? Depth at linebacker. There are a lot of areas. But you want to see the guys that are playing, you want to see them continue to grow. You want to see them to continue to develop, because the pieces that I just talked about are going to be frontline guys. Now they got to go out and get guys behind them or guys to supplement them, to be next to them. Because when we get to, an injury here or there, you see a great depreciation in performance. And it should not be a huge drop off, but you go across the entire defensive backfield, you go across the entire linebacker core, and, guys in there, they try as hard as they can, but, you still have to upgrade your talent. Simple as that.
Right. Yeah. Between that and, as we're seeing now with Charlie Bolin, also the plan was clearly flawed in how they hate, that's just the proof is in the pudding with that. But that's all part of the postscript next week and the week thereafter. So, Carl, how do we like to end this thing as we wrap up our final preview of 2025?
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Bleav in Giants.